Hello everyone, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to Live It Up. This is the show where we explore and discuss how to take your life to that next level and beyond. We cover health, wealth, relationships, and how to create a life you absolutely love. I'm your host and coach, Fletcher Ellingson. Amy will be joining us in a bit as we discuss glaucoma. I know it has something to do with the eyes, and it's not good, but stick around and we're gonna all learn it together. Remember, health is the first wealth. Before we get to that though, I want to remind you that if you have questions that you would like us to answer on or off the air, you can email them directly to me at fletcher@fletcherellingson.com. I also want to invite you to visit my website and get deeper into this conversation of taking your life to that next level. You can take the happiness quotient quiz and find out how happy you are and get an overview of how your life is going. Are you doing all right? Or is it time to tune up some areas of your life? You can also sign up for the 52 weeks of inspiration, and you'll hear from me once a week with encouragement on or a cool concept to ponder during the week. And finally, if you enjoy listening to podcasts, I love them. In fact, a few of my favorites are Radio Lab, How I Built This, and of course, This American Life. But if you like them, then you can find episodes of my podcast at my website, and it can help you keep in an empowered state of mind. And who doesn't need that? Man, I know I do. In fact, even though I am a coach, I have a coach in my life. I check in with my coach twice a month. And I love having a coach because they keep me on track. They hold me accountable to the goals I have set. And they're no nonsense. They're not going to take any excuses. They're not going to let me get off the hook. And they remind me of my commitments and are a source of inspiration and contribution to me. There's a wonderful quote by Sandra Gallagher of the Proctor Gallagher Institution. And the quote says, "Commitment and accountability close the gap between intention and result." I'll say that again. I think it's worth saying again. Commitment and accountability close the gap between intention and result. Isn't that a great quote? And that's what a coach helps you do. It really is all about creating freedom in your life, which is what I help my clients create, freedom. Most of us have an area or areas that where we just don't feel free. Maybe it's around finances. We feel financially bound, or maybe we feel bound around our health or relationships. I'll give you an example. Have you ever been in a relationship that felt like it had plateaued, or maybe it felt like it was dying, or worse, maybe it was clearly dead, but still you didn't end it? And maybe you were afraid of hurting the other person, or maybe you didn't have the courage, or you were afraid of the repercussions if you did it. And so what did you do instead? Well, instead, you lived every day in mental suffering, knowing the right thing to do, but you were not able to take that action. And that relationship tainted everything in your life. The world seemed darker. It seemed heavier, more serious. It seemed more challenging to get through the day. And then, one day, things got so bad and so painful in that relationship that you couldn't take it any longer, and so you ended it. Or maybe they ended it, right? Think back to that point. Do you remember how you felt? Yeah, it felt like freedom, right? You may have even said it, "I'm free." Or maybe for some of you, what you really want is freedom around your finances. Maybe financial stress is getting to you. Maybe you're frequently coming up short at the end of the month, or maybe you feel stressed about the amount of debt you have, and you're just not sure what to do about it. Well, believe it or not, you can create freedom around that situation too. Now, you're still responsible for your debt, but you can still get freedom around it. What do I mean? Well, let me give you an example. One of my clients had over $37,000 of credit card debt. He was overwhelmed, extremely stressed out about it, and he figured it was going to take him close to 15 years to pay it off. This was just consumer credit card debt. But the cool thing is, after working with him, he was able to get freedom from the stress because, number one, we were able to change his mindset and his relationship to money and debt. Previously, every time he thought about that debt, he felt like he was being crushed, like he was a victim, and he had no way out. However, once we changed his mindset, he was able to look at his debt, and instead of feeling like he was crushed, he was able to sense it getting lighter and lighter and lighter. He imagined himself paying that balance down and feeling grateful for the money that had flowed into him so he could be responsible. What a change, right? A huge change. And he saw it getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and could even see it disappearing for good. And then, because we had radically changed his mindset about money, he began imagining his bank account growing. And he was saving and making decisions that served him, and he imagined how wonderful that would feel, right? To be debt-free. And what's really cool about this, what's really cool about him imagining all of this, is that the brain can't tell what is real and what's not real. So the brain has all this imagery of being successful with money. And then it begins looking for ways to do it in the physical world. In fact, my client began finding ways to cut expenses and work more. He was able to generate more money and put it all towards debt. Between working a little more and cutting expenses, he figured he could have his debt paid off in 3 years, not 15 like he was originally thinking. And guess what? The best part? He feels free. Isn't that cool? And that's what all of us want. We want to feel free. Now, he still has debt, but he no longer feels like he's suffering. He no longer feels like he's being crushed. The suffering about the debt was caused by his beliefs, by his thinking, and by his doomsday vision of his future, right? But once we changed his mindset, he moved from a suffering state into freedom. And he was able to ask different questions from a place of freedom, which then gave him access to different actions, which then gave him different results, and therefore emotions. Freedom. So I'm happy to say that he's doing well, and he has radically improved his trajectory for his finances. It's all about freedom. And freedom, I gotta tell you, is just one decision away. Just consider the times you felt free. They had always just been one decision away. It had always been available to us, anytime. So before we go to break, I want to ask you, is there an area of your life where you want more freedom? Well, remember, it's just one decision away. The question is, will you step up and make that decision? Stay with us. We'll be right back. Hey everybody, welcome back to Live It Up. We're here with Amy. Hey Amy.
Hello.
Tell us, what's the topic today?
Glaucoma.
Glaucoma, that has to do with the eyes.
It's true.
Knowing that, I put together a few interesting literary references to the eyes to share with, just to, to shake things up, mix things up a little bit here. So tell us one of these.
Okay, one of your fun facts.
Yes,
or
one of the fun literary quotes.
All right, by Henry Ford. Obstacles are things you see when you take your eyes off the goal. Mm-hmm. Very deep.
How about this one? The real voyage of discovery consists not in seeking new landscapes, but in having new eyes. That's Marcel Proust.
Very cool. All right, next one. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
We all know that, it's
yes.
true. And how about this one? Just because a man lacks the use of his eyes doesn't mean he lacks vision. That's also very accurate. Mm-hmm. Stevie Wonder said that.
A fool is wise in his own eyes. That's true.
Yeah. But I love this one. Who are you going to believe, me or your own eyes? Groucho Marx.
Well done.
Thanks. All right, what else? What else do we know about the eyes that's interesting?
Facts. The average blink lasts for about 1/10 of a second.
1/10 of a second. That is very fast. And while it takes some time for most parts of your body to warm up, your eyes are on their A game 24/7. They're always ready to go. They're always warm.
And eyes heal very quickly. It only takes about 48 hours for them to heal completely a scratch on the cornea.
Interesting. Interesting. Here's one for you. Seeing is such a big part of everyday life that it requires about half of the brain to get involved.
And a newborn does not yet produce tears. They make crying sounds. They obviously cry. We all know that, or most of us. But tears actually don't start flowing until they're about 4 to 13 weeks old.
Interesting. Here's something you may not have known. Around the world, there are about 39 million people that are blind, and roughly 6 times that many have some kind of vision impairment. That's a lot.
That's a lot. And there's a lot you can do about that, actually. There's a lot of cool services, organizations. Anyway.
All right.
Okay.
All right, let's talk
about glaucoma.
All right, so the first time you mentioned this, which was just recently, I mean, to me anyway, I realized that I don't really know anything about it. So give us the scoop. What is it? What is glaucoma?
So glaucoma is a group of eye conditions that basically the condition that ends up damaging the optic nerve. We mentioned the optic nerve, which is the nerve that goes from the eyeball to the brain. So it is literally like, it's like your fiber cable. I mean, it is what carries all of the signals from the eye to the brain. So it's a really big deal because you need that to see. And damage to the nerve in glaucoma is caused by an abnormally high pressure in the eyeball, which then affects the nerve because it's attached to the back of the eye. So the high pressure in the eyeball is what damages the nerve and then can actually lead to blindness.
Whoa, blindness,
blindness.
serious.
It's a big deal.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah, let me talk about the blindness thing. So yeah, left untreated, glaucoma will actually cause blindness, or can, and is actually one of the leading causes of blindness in people over age 60. It can occur at any age, but it's much more common in older adults. And even once it's found and treated, even then about 15% of people will become blind in one eye over the next 20 years. And then to top it off, many forms of glaucoma have absolutely no warning signs, so you don't even know you have high pressure.
Really?
Because it's something that happens so slowly and gradually that you don't have any symptoms of it, and you may not know it until it's at an advanced stage where there's already been some nerve damage.
So you could have high pressure in your eye and not even realize it?
Correct.
You don't feel it?
No.
Interesting.
Yeah, there's one type, and I'll get to this later, where you would have symptoms, but the more common one, you don't have symptoms.
I have all sorts of questions, and I'll save them because you're probably going to get to them.
Yes.
But I'm just hearing this for the first time too, so I'm very interested.
Okay,
But
I think
first
I'm going to
of all-
answer all your questions.
All right, good. Well, tell us, how does this happen?
So glaucoma, like I mentioned, is the name of the condition that then leads to the damage to the optic nerve. And so as the nerve gradually deteriorates, then you get blind spots in your visual field because the nerve, if you have some areas where the nerve is dead, that's going to be a blind spot. And doctors don't fully understand how this happens, but it just does as far as the nerve damage. And so the eyeball, it's a globe, right? It's a fixed sphere and so it has fluid called aqueous humor that flows throughout the inside of the eye. And glaucoma happens when there's excess pressure within that globe. And the excess pressure is usually caused by one of two things. It's going to because where the fluid doesn't flow out naturally there's this meshwork that allows the fluid to flow out. And then there's also, so that's the main thing. So, or if the fluid is overproduced, but usually in these other common problems, it's because the fluid is not flowing out at a normal rate.
Gotcha. And that fluid is aqueous humor.
Yeah.
I like that word.
Yeah.
Aqueous humor.
Yeah, and so the two main causes of elevated pressure, one is called open angle glaucoma. This is the more common cause of the disease. And this is where there's this angle where the drainage occurs, and this happens when an open angle where the meshwork is partially blocked. I mean, the eye is so complex. It's crazy what happens in the eyeball. And so when the angle is open but the meshwork is blocked, then the fluid doesn't come out. And this is the one that happens so slowly that you just don't even know it until there's already nerve damage. And then angle closure glaucoma, or called closed angle glaucoma, is when there's actually a change in the angle. So the meshwork may be open, but the angle is narrowed or blocked for some reason, so the fluid can't circulate from the eye and the pressure increases. So some people are born with a more narrow angle, and they're going to be more prone to having this narrow angle glaucoma. And this can happen suddenly, which I'll talk about that, or it can be more chronic. When it does happen suddenly, it's like literally a medical emergency to get to the eye doctor, get the pressure decreased so there's not nerve damage.
Dang.
Yeah.
Well, how would somebody know if they're at risk for this condition?
Yeah, so if you would only know that you have high pressure, especially the more gradual kind, if you've gone to the eye doctor. I mean, literally, that's the only way you would know. And when you go to the eye doctor, like we all know, they do that little air puff thing. That's what's checking your pressure.
Oh.
And so if you have a high pressure, then the eye doctor knows to monitor you more often and may tell you to avoid certain things, which I'll get to that. Also, being of the races, Black, Asian, or Hispanic can make you at higher risk of glaucoma. Having a family history of glaucoma, it does appear to run in families. There is a gene that's associated with it.
So we should check with our family members and find out if there is a history of it.
Right, yep. And then certain medical conditions like diabetes, heart disease, high blood pressure. If you're extremely nearsighted or farsighted, or you have really significant prescription, that's going to put you at a higher risk because the eyeball actually changes shape based on those conditions.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's very interesting. If you've had an eye injury or certain types of eye surgery, or if you're taking steroid medications like prednisone, or using steroid eye drops for a long period of time.
Gotcha.
Hey, we should take a quick break before we get to the next section.
We should indeed.
let's do
So we'll be right back. Stay with us. Hey everybody, welcome back to Live It Up. We are talking with Amy today about glaucoma, and I didn't know anything about this, so I'm getting an education along with you. And so far, it's been very interesting, but I gotta say, I love the name Aqueous Humor.
Yeah.
I think it sounds like a Marvel super fighter or superhero. Look over there, it's Aqueous Humor.
That's funny.
Yeah. But anyway.
I think it sounds like medieval times when there was humor is going through your body. That's what it reminds me of, but
Gotcha.
that's a little more dorky.
All right. So next question for you. What can we tell folks to look for regarding signs or symptoms of high pressure or glaucoma?
So it depends on the type you have and the stage of your condition. So open angle glaucoma, we said this one was the most common, where that meshwork is blocked. If you wait, I mean, the first thing, hopefully you know you have high pressure, but if for some reason you never went to the doctor or something happened that was more dramatic, you would start to have some patchy blind spots, especially or either on the side, like your peripheral vision, the central vision, and frequently it's going to be in both eyes. So if you all of a sudden start noticing some a blind spot, that's obviously something you need to pay attention to.
Mm-hmm.
Or if it's in an advanced stage, then you get more of a tunnel vision, which that'd be bad. And then acute angle glaucoma, what we talked about, where if that angle all of a sudden is closed and that pressure and that fluid cannot circulate and the pressure is going to go up, that's the one that's a medical emergency. Usually it will cause a bad headache. You'll have eye pain. You might even have nausea, vomiting. You'll have blurred vision, at least in the eyes that are affected. You may have halos around lights, and your eye will get red.
Dang.
And if that happens, you really need to see an eye professional like right away.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Aside from getting your eyes checked regularly, is there anything people can do to try to prevent glaucoma from happening?
Yeah, I mean, critical to this is to find the condition early. So you really want to get to your eye doctor and get regular dilated eye exams, and that's going to occur usually with the optometrist.
Mm-hmm.
And they check the pressure, like I mentioned, that little air puff. So as a general rule, if you're under 40, you'd want to get your eyes checked, dilated eye exam, I should say, every 5 to 10 years. 40 to 55, every 2 to 4 years. 55 to 65, every 1 to 3 years. And then if you're over 65, you should really be getting a dilated eye exam at least every 1 to 2 years.
Okay.
So they can take a look at your nerve. Knowing your family history, like we mentioned, exercising regularly. Regular exercise has been shown to reduce glaucoma by reducing eye pressure. So
Really?
It seems like regular exercise is obviously good for everything. So that's just
like
it's something you should check off your list. If you are on eye drops for glaucoma, take them really seriously. They're really important. They can help reduce the pressure. And then wearing eye protection. So if you had a serious eye injury that occurred while you're using power tools or playing racket sports or something that were high speed, that's another thing to wear eye protection.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I'm sure there are many, but what are some of the common treatments if you find out, like, holy smokes, I got glaucoma?
Yeah. So, well, your eye doctor would tell you what the treatments are, but yes. So, glaucoma is usually controlled by eye drop medication. And using the eye drops, you have to use them every day, like really forever.
Really?
Because it doesn't usually go away. And so these eye drops reduce the eye pressure. So some of them reduce the pressure by reducing the amount of fluid that the eye makes. Others reduce the pressure by helping with that angle to open it up a little bit.
Wow.
There are some surgeries would be another option. There are two main types of laser surgery that help the aqueous drain from the eye. They're usually done in the ophthalmologist office or an outpatient center. So one is called trabeculoplasty, where that's for people who have open angle glaucoma, and they help make that angle and that mesh work better. And then the other one is where they do a surgery on your iris, and those are people with the angle closure glaucoma, and it helps fluid drain better. So again, if glaucoma is recognized early, then the visual loss can be slowed or prevented. But like I mentioned, usually once you have the diagnosis, you will likely need to be on treatment for the remainder of your life.
Is it, let's say you are on that treatment for the rest of your life, can you avoid blindness by just...
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
like I said, I think the stats were like 15% over 20 years may have progressive visual loss and even blindness. But so it's not like the eye drops are a perfect fix or even the surgery. So it is something that you may still have some visual impairment, but obviously if you can be seen and be treated before there's any damage to the optic nerve, that's going to be the most important time to get treatment.
Gotcha. So it's important to see your eye doctor on a regular basis. I mean,
Yeah, I'm pretty much talking to you.
I know. I felt
know.
it. I felt
Yeah.
that statement land right over here.
Well, I mean, again, it's not like you have to go. So if you're in your 40s to 50s, it's every 2 to 4 years. If you're 55 to 65, every 1 to 3 years, as far as getting a dilated eye exam. So a lot of people, they may just go to the eye doctor to get a prescription. If the prescription hasn't changed, they don't go for a while. Or they may just need cheaters, when they're over 50. And I know a lot of insurance companies don't pay for vision, so it is something that people avoid. But it is really important, at least to do it, maybe every 3 years, getting your eyes dilated, getting an exam with an optometrist.
I should set up an appointment.
Yeah, you should.
I really should.
That's the outcome of the show, is you setting up an appointment. It's good.
This happens frequently. She brings this material on here, and I'm like, dang.
Like, dang, what am I doing?
I have to take action now. I have to
Yeah.
follow my own advice and take action.
It's true.
All right. Well, we're almost out of time here. Anything you'd like to say to our viewers?
No, but just again, in general, I think that what I really try to do here is give people some knowledge so they can feel empowered to take care of their own health. Because what I see in my practice is the people that take charge of their own health, that really take it seriously, know about their health, know their medicines, know their conditions, know what they're doing. Those people have a much higher level of functioning and health than those who either rely only on the doctor or don't even pay attention to it. So a little bit of knowledge can help you take action and then lead to some better outcomes.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So aqueous humor, if you are a writer or would like to make a script about this new superhero, aqueous humor, let me know. I'll be interested. And now it's time to get out there. It's time to be a source of contribution, be a source of kindness. You have something to contribute to this world, and we believe in you.